I'm going to try doing this show with a dog on my lap. We'll see if that's a good idea or not a good idea.
Would you like feedback on that idea, or you just want everyone to know?
It's really we're all gonna know. If she starts barking, then it's a bad idea.
Okay. Great. Break the targets! This is episode 381 of Insert Credit, the bacon and Brussels sprouts of video game podcasts. Gross. It's an insightful roundtable of video game experts made more fun with good questions, discussions of the Atari Jaguar, and a horrible buzzer. And also, Brussels sprouts are so much better than they used to be as kids, that feels like a video game metaphor. Substituting for Alex Jaffe this week, I'm Eric Silver. And when I'm picking a character in a game with a large roster of choices, I'm always drawn to big, inhuman guys.
I'm Ash Parrish, and when I am choosing a character, it's very easy for me because I will go for the black femme, then the femme, and then whatever's left.
That's fair. Honestly, you just got to do what you got to do. Whatever's there, you got to just pick it.
I'm Brandon Sheffield, and large roster of characters for me usually means a fighting game. And so I will be choosing generally a lady because I like characters that do kicks. I like kicking characters. They tend to be fat. I like the slightly faster ones. And so it's going to be... Are you laughing because my dog appeared?
No, I'm laughing because I thought you were going to say they have the fat ass, so...
Oh. I thought that Brandon was going to say he only likes quote-unquote fast characters, like a euphemism for slutty characters. Yeah, fast and loose, yeah.
None of those things. None of those things are what I meant. I just like characters that move quickly and do kicks that have range. So I wind up choosing a lady character that like is holding her leg up in the air. It's like, she's going to kick something. That's me.
So on the scale of like Chun-Li or Jury, like where?
Believe it or not, I don't play either of those characters. But Elena.
Okay.
Does that apply to like, I don't know, a Jackbox or a Mario Party where does fast ladies also count?
Mario Party, choose Daisy, you know? I think it extends to those as well.
Good to know. And substituting for Frank Cifaldi, who is on a secret mission right now, we have Merritt K.
Hey, so if I'm presented with a large roster of characters, I'm going, A, talking skeleton. If no talking skeleton,
nice. Animal
with boxing gloves. And failing that, funny old man, probably drunk.
Hell yes.
I like that one.
That's good. Yeah, this is like Fighters Megamix, like...
Car also.
Yeah, Car.
Car.
Absolutely. Car is my favorite guy.
Car's a great guy.
Hey, I'm coming in. I'm stepping in as the host. This is wonderful. I listen to the show all the time. I'm so excited that I get to come up with questions that Alex Jaffe is keeping from you. He's preventing the deep state from giving you the hot questions that is deserved to be asked on Insert Credit.
Nice. I'm ready. I'm ready to...
I'm afraid, but let's go.
It's fine. It's not actually about the deep state. It's mostly about Nintendo, honestly. Which I guess you could call the deep state if you're really thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, so we'll see how it goes.
Ambiently, I feel like I want to get your insight on this. Here's my first question. Will mainline Pokemon games ever not look like Garbo again? I still cannot understand why Game Freak and whatever the consortium of games that happen, the consortium of companies that put together Pokemon, will allow this to happen. But like notoriously, especially with the Pokemon ZA stuff coming out, like people have talked about how it looks bad, especially Kit and Krista have weighed in on this. And we're like, yep, it definitely looks bad. It's something that we all kind of agree on. So why is Pokemon kind of allowing this to happen?
What do the people think looks good? What do they want? Because if they want photorealistic Pokemon, they can fuck right off with that shit too. So I don't know where we go with this. Like, it's Pokemon. It's for kids. It doesn't need to be graphically intensive. Yeah, it probably could, do a little update because it is kind of like a PS2 looking ass game, but what's wrong with looking like a PS2 game? Like, I don't understand it. It's a game about catching monsters. It's been the same shit since 1996. What do you want, people? Like, be serious for a second.
Yeah, I feel like games for kids do have, like, they could look good. It's good for people to try on those. But Pokemon, you have to make them look like Pokemon. And if you change them too much, then you're going to get in trouble. And then people get mad when you don't change it enough. But like, if Pikachu doesn't look like Pikachu, there's going to be riots. Like, Pikachu's got to look like Pikachu.
Okay. But just to play the Nintendo hater here, Mario still looks like Mario, but Mario looks better than Mario did 10 years ago or 20 years ago, arguably.
That's true.
So there are ways that you can like, and Mario also like runs good still. I mean, Bowser's Fury was 20 years ago, but it ran well and it looked good. And I think people want like a game that runs good and that looks like $60 or $70 a video game. But the thing is, if you look at what Roblox looks like, I think that is sort of like the value proposition at this point of like, yeah, it's a game for kids. And the cynical answer is that they know that they can just keep doing the bare minimum and people will buy it because they're either adults who are locked in still or they're kids who will just buy it. So I don't know. I don't think this is, I think we're in it. Like we're in the epoch of bad looking kind of medium effort Pokemon games that are cranked out every year until the sun burns out.
They have really short dev cycles, I know.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. But if we want to get into the deep state thing that we were talking about earlier.
I very much do.
The Switch 2 is coming. And so if you got a Pokemon game that runs bad and then you get a Switch 2 and it runs great, maybe you can sell it again. That's, man, I don't know. Maybe that's something. That
we
might
already
be something.
suspect that ZA, and they've already soft confirmed that ZA is going to be on both systems. So maybe that's why it looks like shit. So they could, manage development for two different kinds of systems. But honestly, I truly want to know, what is it that you think that Pokemon should look like?
I think toon shading. Toon shading could be good, maybe.
Yeah, cell shading, or like even in the last game that came out, it wasn't so much that the Pokemon themselves looked terrible, but like the world looked embarrassing. Like I don't know, it's
empty.
It's empty. The textures were really flat and like unappealing, and it doesn't have to be photorealistic, but like there are so many games that have distinctive looks and that make do with lower poly assets, and like something like I would take a heavily stylized Pokemon game even. Not just kind of like a generic 3D world, but
we are now in 2025, the prime era for like extracting money from the wallets of people that are 30 to 40 years old. And if they did one that looked like the dang cartoon from the 90s, then they would be in business. Like if they make it look like Ash and Misty are walking around in the actual cartoon, then I think they would have a dollar's opportunity there.
Well, that wasn't that Let's Go Pikachu? Wasn't that what that was?
I was thinking that like that's what I'm saying with the word garbo. I think that's what Merritt was kind of hitting on. It's like, why are they doing a bad job? They could take everyone's money internally if it wasn't so, I guess, empty and the frame rate is terrible and everyone obviously is clowning on it.
Let's Go Pikachu doesn't look enough. It looks pretty similar to the other games to me. It doesn't look right. I actually forgot I played this. It doesn't look enough like the cartoon, my opinion. They could flat shade and toon shade and make it really look like the anime.
I think it's just like it's hard to look at Pokemon stuff and compare it to Nintendo's other projects, which are doing such weird, cool, fun things for the most part. Mm-hmm. And then to just see like there's this decree that's like, no, we have to have a Pokemon game every like 18 to like 24 months. Yeah. And we are going to give you no money to do it. Keep going forever. More now. Yes, please. Thank you. Whereas like Zelda games and Mario games get these like...
They get to cook those for a long time.
They get to cook, right? And like they come out and they're still really good. So it's just kind of like strange, I guess. And maybe it is just because it's more associated with children or because it just will sell on branding more than those games. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of, I don't know. It
is disappointing. I also wish they had better music. I find the Pokemon music to be like, they have like one or two kind of catchy tracks. per game, but by and large, it's pretty skippable music, which is surprising to me. Like, you spend so much time walking around. They should put something in there that's gonna stick in your brain forever. They don't do it.
And that's time. Wow, what a loud buzzer. Thank you for telling us that the time was done. I have a second question. I promise this is not always about Nintendo.
We'll see.
What is the best sword in video game history, or what is the best gun in video game history? Please choose your question.
That's two. Oh, we have
Sword
to choose?
gun.
Yeah, pick one. I didn't know if you were sword guys or gun guys. So
If we
Sword
got
gun.
Squall, we don't have to. We don't
I
have
was
to
gonna
choose.
say you don't have to pick.
That's for bisexuals. You can have both. If you're greedy.
Get the gunblade.
Someone has put a memoir out on the stoop nearby, and I keep walking by it, and the title is Greedy, Notes on a Bisexual Life, and it keeps coming closer to me, to my apartment, every time I walk by it, and I don't know if this is an elaborate prank or not, but I feel like Greedy is following me.
And that memoir was written by Gacked.
Freaking gacked.
It's for you, man.
Oh man,
492-year-old vampire.
I love
However
that
old he
man
is.
so much.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he was cool still.
Yeah.
Is he
that'd
not
be
cool now? Is he like?
No. He's now talking about nationalism and how
Oh,
Japan should
fuck.
close all its borders
Oh,
while
wait.
he's living in Malaysia himself.
The gun. Oh, wait, no, it's a gun for a video game. Sorry, I was about to get off topic and say the doohickey, but
I guess it was created from someone's mind. That's pretty close.
That's
It's a creation. It's a piece
not
of
in a
fiction.
video game yet. It'll be in Assassin's Creed 56.
So, best sword and best gun. Should we just try to do them both?
If you want
We
to.
can.
Best sword, maybe. It's hard not to think about the old Buster Sword.
I was gonna say, do you want power or do you want iconography?
Whatever best means to you.
So I would think iconography. So
Yeah,
not necessarily swords that are powerful, but swords that instantly recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And that might be. It's either, to me, that's the Buster Sword or
The Master
the Gun
Sword.
Sword, whatever it's called.
I gotta say, Soul Edge. I love a sword with an eyeball in it. Like, I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's a really strong design choice, is to have a huge sword that has an eyeball. I remember they tried to build that on like one of those shows on Spike TV or whatever, where they were like, let's build swords from movies. And they built Soul Edge, and it's like, it's just a huge piece of metal. Like, it's ridiculous. Of course, this wouldn't work.
No
You
one
have to
can
be a
lift
demon man to use it.
Merritt, would you say that a soul still burns for you?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want to check your smoke detector because my soul still burns.
A soul still burns.
What about guns?
Guns. There's so many of them. I like the Needler.
They
in
got a
Halo.
lot of guns. Hey, they got so many guns in video games these days. You ever notice that?
There's a lot of them. Yeah,
Maybe
Shadow
the
has a
gravity gun?
Gravity gun.
Gravity gun, portal gun.
Farsight from Perfect Dark. You remember that one?
No.
Yeah.
They
Perfect
let
Dark.
you like look through walls to to snipe guys. It was really fun.
The golden gun then?
Golden gun.
You're also good at this. You got this done so quickly. We can go to the next one.
Oh,
That's
the
totally
Destiny
fine.
guns. All
we
those.
didn't choose which is the best. I think it's
Oh,
Squall. I think it's still Squall.
Mm.
The bisexual gun sword.
The ultimate
I'm into
weapon.
it.
The
I like that.
synthesis of the thesis and antithesis of the sword and gun is
Yes.
the gun blade.
It's not the key sword. I don't like the key sword. I'm
Mm.
You don't
sorry.
like the Keyblade?
No, Keyblade. See, I can't even say it right.
There were
That's all
people
right.
screaming at us Keyblade the entire time we were having that conversation.
Keyblade!
I had completely forgotten about it, and I feel like I'm
Sorry,
the
I never-
biggest Kingdom Hearts head here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? The GBA game is really pretty though. Take a look at some screenshots of the GBA
Mm.
Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories or whatever it
Memories,
is.
yeah.
It's like GBA graphical tour de force, I would say. Good colors. Anyway,
Honestly, my favorite version of the Keyblade is the Honey Blasters, so it's again a gun and a sword combined.
Yeah,
Nice.
I like that one.
Also,
I
I just
don't
like
like,
saying
like-
Honey Blasters.
The ultimate version of it, where it's like the chi or Kai blade or whatever, where it's like two crossed. Like, no, that shit's dog shit. The ultimate. My favorite like trope in video games is when the ultimate like weapon is just super powerful, but looks like a basic simple weapon. Kind of like the Carpenter's Cup in Indiana Jones. Like, oh, you see all these ornate cups, but the one that's the most powerful one is the regular
functional
looking
one.
bit. Yeah, I like
Mhm.
that shit. So I think the Keyblade.
Honey Blasters sounds like it was like it would be a iPhone game from 2010.
No, it sounds like something you get at a gas station when you are about to hook up.
Hell yeah. It could be both. It's both.
Sorry.
It's an ARG. It all fits together. All right,
So
let me ask another.
when you eat too much Taco Bell. I got the honey blasters.
All right, let me ask another question. So a few episodes ago, Jaffe alluded to the fact that you talk so much, that someone told him that you talk so little about Nintendo on the show. That was me. And Jaffe told me that when you started and also restarted the show, so maybe, Brandon, I would love to hear your ideas here. It was because every other video game podcast talked about Nintendo. With the destruction of so many video game outlets out for, and therefore their podcasts, even before Merritt was on here, I wrote RIP Channel F. Man, I miss that podcast every day of my life. Does that reasoning still hold? Is that why you don't talk about it that much on here, or is it because Brandon doesn't like it?
Oh, I think by and large is because, like, Frank knows about old Nintendo. I was a NEC and then Sega person for the whole of my life.
Wait, you were a TurboGrafx kid?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's not a joke, right?
That explains a lot.
Okay. Yeah, because it comes up on the show a lot. People are always, anytime someone says, like, even uses the word bonk, they message me. Because I'm just, you know,
we've got Bonk. Yeah. Look, we've got Bonk. He's great.
I love Bonk. He's a cute little guy.
He's great. He's got his own shmup.
Little shiny little head.
Zonk.
Well, I think that's his cousin, but
okay,
or somebody. But I was big. I was TurboGrafx, PC Engine, Sega, and so I frankly did not play Nintendo games. I just didn't play them. I got a Super Nintendo when my dad and I were driving through the suburbs, Fremont, California, and we're driving by a pile of trash, and on top of the trash was a Super Nintendo. And I was like, hey, there's a Super Nintendo. Maybe I should pick it up. So we
How old were you when this happened?
I was in high school at this point.
Okay.
So like the Super Nintendo was basically over. It was over. The PlayStation was out, the Saturn was out, and then finally I got a Super Nintendo, and then my buddy gave me Final Fantasy 3 aka 6 and Chrono Trigger and some other things, and I played them for a couple hours. And then that was me and Nintendo. I mean, like, I think it's the tone is set by my ignorance largely. And like, Ash, you were more of a Sega type person, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's part of why we invited Ash to be on the show. It's like, well, I need someone else who's like me.
But I am not like you at all. That Sega wasn't even mine. We only had 6 games on it. So I'm familiar with a lot of games, but I haven't actually played them on the Genesis or the NES for that matter. But I gotta say, as the newest addition to the show and the video games journalist, like, I don't feel like we neglect Nintendo more than any of the other big publishers or whatever in general. Like, when Nintendo does some weird shit, or whenever the Switch 2 was announced or whatever, we still, I think, devote an equal amount of time to it. So I don't notice that disparity. Maybe in the past, but like, I don't think so now.
I think it's the when I'm digging for deep cuts, when someone is like, give an example of this, it's always going to be Sega or PC Engine or
That's
Jaguar or 3DO or it's anything except Nintendo, because I just, I ignored it. It like, I got all these video games in here, and I think there's like 12 N64 games, and then in my garage I have some NES and Super Nintendo games, but the rest of it is just like, I don't know, I'll just have a flash card. I don't need to own those because I didn't collect them then. Now it's too expensive, so it just winds up, not being a big part of my life. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. It's one of these years I'm going to do a deep dive on the Super Nintendo. We're going to be
You got to put out a hidden gems video on the Super Nintendo on YouTube. I don't know if anyone's done that yet. I think
God.
ActRaiser is a hidden gem.
What's funny about that, Merritt, just for a second, is like the hidden gems thing. Like, that actually, for Super Nintendo, it, like, not ActRaiser obviously, but if people are talking about Kendo Rage and stuff, like, that might actually work on me. But whenever someone does, I have your feeling. Whenever someone does like a Sega Saturn hidden gems kind of thing, where I'm just like, I know all this. Get out of here with that. Who you think you're talking to, etc.
Let me ask a follow-up question just about podcasts, because that's what I do with the rest of my life when I'm not hosting the show. What are things that you've seen that like has been enduring about insert credit now that so many podcasts, video game podcasts, do not exist anymore? Like, do you change at all according to where you are in 2025, or are we still doing the same thing when the show was started and then restarted?
Well, first I would say we still exist. That's we just keep doing it. That's one of the main deals, is that we continue doing it. I would not pretend to say that I have listened to other podcasts to know what they've done differently.
Nor would I. But as a guest on all of them, I have, or not all of them, but a guest on, them here or there, I gotta say that there is something to be said, and I'm gonna gush about Jaffe a bit because he's not here and then he can't stop me. That it speaks to it speaks to the quality of the people that you have working on this show, that it is so different. Like, we could sit here and do to death the whole like recap podcast where we talk about the current events or whatever, or whatever memes are happening in the community or whatever. It takes skill, of which I believe this podcast panel, excepting myself, has a lot of, to be able to do this old like formula that's been repeated to death by so many different talented people, and then put this kind of spin on it in this form of a game show or whatever that makes insert credit a delight to be on and to listen to. Because, even if I don't know shit about what you're talking about, which I frequently don't, what the fuck is a PC Engine? I never knew what that was. I am still like enamored of listening, or I want to listen more because A, you talking about it so competently, and B, the structure makes it funny and engaging as hell. So whatever we're doing, hopefully, we can just stick around long enough even still to keep doing it, because there's nobody else out there like this, honestly.
I do think it's probably the format. The format lends itself to being consistent, but also addressing new things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2025, we added the credit system. So we've changed it up a little bit to make it even more game show. And I think we want to keep pushing that because that's kind of fun. And then also I think something that has helped us endure and change with the times to some extent is the guests that we have on the show are not the same 5 guests that you always hear everywhere else necessarily. So that's also good. Not to say that we're the best, but
there's a laser sight on me from Jaffe so that we don't say nice things about him anymore. And the laser sight is also on me, so I can only give out 1 credit. But at the end of this, that was explicit in the directions that Jaffe sent me, that I can only give out 1. Like, I will be banned from substitute teaching if I give out more than 1 credit. I want to go to the next question, but first I want to say, Merritt, Channel F was really good. I really miss it.
Thank you. God, it was, we did 1 episode of the new format where it was me and 3 Zoomers before they destroyed the website. So, that would have been a really fun format, but,
For sure.
Press F for Channel F.
Yeah. Okay, I got a next question. Imagine someone discovered a wellspring of video game water. What would we use it for in the real world? You can define whatever video game water means to you, whichever video game you're talking about this water, but what would we use it for in the real world?
We'd sell it for like thousands of dollars. Like that one lady who sold her bath water.
You're just going to that because you're thinking gamer bath water.
Gamer
like,
water.
Like the association is in your mind.
Gamer water means to me.
Game water, game bath. Yeah.
Well, if this water is infinitely replenishable, I'm gonna shore up the groundwater situation in California. I'm gonna do that, and then in a lot of places in the Middle East, they don't have so much water. Like when I was in Iran, they have these like famous bridges over these huge rivers, and the rivers are just like completely cracked and dry and bare, and there's nothing there. And that was depressing. So I want to make that less depressing. So I'm gonna first of all, I'm gonna solve various water crises. That's point 1. After that, we could do something fun with it.
Okay, but what if it's the water from Metal Gear Solid 2 that you can't swim in, and then people drown. Like you have to think about this stuff.
What if you swim in the water and then the sonic sound comes?
That's okay. I don't like swimming that much, so that's fine.
Well,
I
do
can't swim.
people in Iran might like to swim, Brandon?
They might, as long as they can drink it. That's what's important. Keep everybody alive. Yeah.
Well, so is anybody watching Common Side Effects?
I need to. I really want to.
Am I the only one here who's watched it?
I'm waiting till it's finished because I'm stupid. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm gonna be watching it. I loved the
Scavenger's
sci-fi
Reign.
show.
Yeah. It's a good show. It's a fun show, but I was thinking about that and how, like, you know, it's about this mysterious blue mushroom that's supposed to cure all things and maladies or whatever, and the powers that be are trying to like kill it because it will ruin like their profits for selling like chemotherapy and stuff like that. You know, common conspiracy theory stuff. And so I'm thinking about gamer water and like how, you know, you drink from fountains and then your HP and MP are restored, and like, which would theoretically be the same thing as that mushroom. And I wonder, but would the government want to kill us for it?
But if I replace the world's water supply with it, then they can't.
But how do you do that? Like, how do we access this water? Where is this?
I'm getting into the
wellspring?
deep state.
Yeah.
Finally, I brought it out.
Our world? Is it in a video game world? Like, how does this work?
So I think how it works is I have to pull out a series of pins from above, and then slowly the water will be able to get into the
so you can cross. Yeah,
exactly. That's what's what's gonna happen. That's how you.
I mean,
do
you
it.
must have a very high IQ to be able to do that.
That's right.
I get so mad because I actually would like my ADHD brain would like enjoy that kind of game, and so every once in a while I'll see like an ad for that and I'll download the game and then get mad at myself for being stupid for forgetting like, oh, this mobile piece of shit is not actually that game.
It's so weird that advertises Evany online, which is like such a deep strategy game. It's like an actually very deep game, and they're trying to like hook you into it by showing these little save the king things. You do get to play those, but it's like a reward for playing the real game for like 10 minutes.
And they know what the people want. And that's why they hide it behind all the systems.
I'm just going to say it. I mean, I know it's like not very popular right now, but like I hope the king from Royal Match dies. I hope the rocks push him into the spikes. And I'm tired of pretending that I don't think that. So
yeah, it's it's very real of you to say that.
Yeah. I really like that one Switch game, and I forget the long title of it, but it's a super long title, and it's basically like a Wario.
All the games that you wish you could have played from the
like,
mobile game.
I was trying to look that up to the title. Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
But they have that, and like it's there. I haven't played it, but I want to, because it's like, okay, all this little bullshit that you see advertised in these mobile games that aren't those actual games, like this is that. And I need that to scratch my brain itch. One day I'll play it.
Oh, let's look up the title of that game so that we could recommend it, but we can do that during the break.
I can't get up because my dog is on my lap.
Oh, good. Has that still been working?
It's been fine. Occasionally she raises her head and does a little growl, but that's all it's been so far.
And she doesn't get too hot?
I don't turn the heat on. She's cold.
Oh, okay. If you were to put that on the dog subreddit, they would try and murder you.
She's not that cold. I mean, it's like 58 degrees in here.
That's criminal.
It's chilly.
Okay, I agree.
God.
But I'm trying to research dog helmets for Boo when it's electric scooter time. I know. And I didn't trust Amazon. I didn't want to just, put into Amazon dog helmet. So I went to like r/dogs. And I just found this thread where this guy is asking for helmet recommendations because he wants to take his dachshund with him on like motorcycle trips. And everyone is berating this man and calling him like the worst dog owner and that he should give his dog up for adoption.
Dog helmet sounds like a legend at GDQ. Like Dog helmet invented the BLJ.
Bacon, lettuce, and jam.
And we're back. The name of that game is, you want those games, right? So here you go. Now let's see you clear them. There you go.
Yes, right.
Completely does not tell you what the hell that game is out of context. That's so funny.
No, not at all. Hey, you want to go to the question hole? There's just a question hole over here, and there's some questions in it.
Might as well go there, I guess.
I still hate question hole.
Peer deep into that question hole and hope it doesn't peer back.
Luckily, you can be a Patreon subscriber and you can put questions in the question hole, and then we'll go in and harvest the questions from the question hole. This one, now let me see if I'm getting this answer right. I promise I'll stop saying question hole to Ash, I promise. This is from Patreon subscriber Alex Jaffe.
Okay.
Are video games cool? Have they ever been cool? What is the coolest that video games have ever been?
No, not applicable.
So here's the deal. It's a sliding scale because like what I think is cool is probably not very cool. It's entirely subjective. There are video games that I think are cool, and there are things about video games that I think are cool. Like I think Linda Cube is a cool video game. I think Nier is a cool video game. I don't know if anyone would agree. I think Bullet Witch is a cool video game. Whether people agree with that doesn't matter because that's what I think, and it's all it's within our own individual framing. I would say.
I think video games were briefly cool in the late 90s to early 2000s around the release of the PlayStation 2. And since then, and before then, and since then, have not been. But there was a time when they were when they were cool. But I remember seeing this Blue Sky post like a month or two ago by like a pretty famous columnist, and I forget her name. It's not like I'm like just protecting her or whatever, but I just honestly forget what her name is. But she was like, talking about like, because everyone right now is talking about, and not to get political, I hate to get political on here, but talking about like the crisis among young men, right? And like, what are we doing with the young men and who's going to help them? And she was saying something about like how video games have really, like caused huge problems for them and everything. And everyone was like, that's not true. Video games are great and perfect. And I was just like, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. I don't think they cause mass shootings, but yeah, probably. I mean, I don't think they're good in a lot of ways.
When those first-person shooters permitted voice chat, that's like the inflection point. Like when you want to look at the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, it's that.
No, I think they were still cool when Halo 2 came out, but I think once Borderlands came out, they were not. I think once you added loot and game passes, then they no longer, then that was it. That was to me. Because I think you can say cusses and stuff in the context of like a sport. But once it's like, I need to progress my battle pass, dude. I need to get my new M16 skin. It's like, okay. No, it's not cool anymore.
That and all of that can be tracked to horse armor.
That's a big, that's true. That's true.
As someone who grew up knowing for certain that obscure stuff is cool, there's plenty of cool stuff in video games. And I think knowing about and caring about obscure video games is cool and fun. I don't think it doesn't make sense in the sense that you were talking about, Merritt, where like, in the UK, they were doing ads for lads and stuff, like go to the club with your PSP or whatever. Like that was.
Is that real?
Is
that real?
It's close to real. It's not exactly real,
God.
but it is. It's
the precursor of take your Switch to the roof party.
Yes, exactly. But like for me, when I look at like a weird Japanese PC game,
it's pretty cool.
What are you holding up? You're small. I can't see.
I'm holding up a game called Rejection for the FM Towns.
Oh, the FM Towns.
FM Towns plays power forward on the Minnesota Timberwolves,
FM Towns
right?
Marty, the goofiest console title ever devised.
Yeah, I mean, Casio Lupi's giving it a run for its money.
That's also really good.
But FM Towns Marty is definitely, they were like, what's the dumbest thing we could call this? Yeah, I don't know if that's what is actually cool, but it doesn't matter to me. I think liking the Saturn is cool.
Go. Saturn will always be famous.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank
guy.
you, patron Alex Jaffe. Thank you for contributing. I really appreciate you.
I hope that guy doesn't write in again, though, by the
way. Yeah,
is that a Casio Loopy behind you, by the way?
Yeah.
On top of your CDI or?
That's on top of my 3DO. Yeah, that's a Loopy. And there's a PCFX right next to it.
That's okay. That's cool. That's cool.
Nerd.
Yeah, I got the magical print shop.
Oh my God.
Well.
The sticker printer?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
yeah.
Casio Loopy was really pretty dope, actually, but we don't need to talk about it.
Lavender consoles. Let's hear it.
I have another question. If you'll indulge me, this is also one that's for me now that I'm the host and that other Alex Jaffe is gone. I'm a tabletop RPG guy. I game master them on an actual play podcast. I'm a tabletop RPG games designer. And I love the tension between how game design works in video games and how game design works in tabletop RPGs. But there's a lot of people who don't touch either side. They only care about video games and they only care about tabletop RPGs. Are any of you D&D or tabletop RPG people? And is it because, and is it yes or no related to how you consume video games?
Completely unrelated. We play Dungeons and Dragons, me and a group of friends, and that's just like we're all 30 somethings. Most of us have families, and this is like the one thing that we do once a month to like have social interactions with people that are not our family. And we all enjoy the game, and we're all gamers. Like we're all like actual console gamers too. And this is just like our social thing that we can reliably do so that we all don't go crazy or like isolate ourselves or whatever. And it's perfect. And I understand that I am like one of the rare humans that can consistently get a group together to do it at a fairly regular intervals. But yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with video games, and it is purely for social reasons.
Merritt, do you play tabletop at all?
Yeah, I haven't so much lately, but actually the game that I put out last year was inspired by a Vampire the Masquerade campaign that I ran a couple of years ago.
Nice.
So I played stuff like that. I grew up playing Palladium RPGs, which are like notoriously terrible. And then I played a lot of like indie stuff, like, the big name, like Dungeon World, like Fiasco, stuff like that most, like a lot of people know about. But, I don't know, as someone who has, done both those things, I think the design space is like much more difficult in tabletop. And so I like seeing the ways that people try to solve challenges when you can't rely on having like a black box of a computer, like doing things behind the scenes. And it all has to be like, carried out through players keeping track of the rules. So it's like interesting to see the differences between those things. And I think they're different experiences. But then I've also played things like when I was growing up, I played a lot of MUDs, which are like kind of a combination, because the ones I played on, people would be role playing all the time, but also there was a game system that like managed all the roles and like controlled NPCs and stuff for you. So yeah, I don't know what the point of that was, except I miss MUDs.
Truly.
Yeah, I don't really do it mostly because of time. It's a very time consuming thing, and time is what I have the least of right now. But I have played D&D. I couldn't actually I couldn't really even approach getting into it until like the last 5 years or so, though, because when I was younger, the people that were into it were like too into it. And we're like, you have to know all the stats and you have to roll your own character, and it's just like, okay, I don't want to do any of this. This is too much work for me. I'm 12 and I don't want to do this. But now with things like Morkborg and like original rules type campaigns and things where you can just like roll a character very easily, it's fun to do. I'm not against it. It's just I can't imagine committing to anything for that length of time at this point. It's just, which sucks. It's a sad thing to say. I do think it's a very interesting space, and it's interesting watching people create certain boundaries, knowing that the main thing players are going to want to do is try to break their friend's brain and try to break the game system to get out of doing whatever is supposed to actually happen. Which is fun. I don't know. Maybe other people don't play that way though. Like, do some people just go straight through and they're like, yes, we will go rescue the princess. We're just going to go straight there. And there will be trials along the way, and we're not going to like take a detour and run a cheese shop, maybe there's people like that. I haven't met them though.
They do that. There's this wonderful middle ground of like, I'm going to do that and also have fun and also do it in the most creative way. But like, I'm interested for you, Brandon, but like isn't that how people play video games? They try to break them and do it exactly the way that they want, especially as you was making a game right now. Yeah,
but video games, their rules are relatively immutable. Like, there are things that you can do and things that you can't do. And with tabletop RPGs, it's like whoever's running the game, they have to decide if they're going to allow it. And so it's the possibility space is so much wider. And reining that in is hard, because you have to anticipate those things and try to give people things that they will want to do, and rules that they will want to abide by so that they don't try to break them to where the game itself is not fun anymore. Something like that.
For Ash and Merritt, how do you feel about the new trend of RPGs that roll dice? I think on one hand, you have ones like Disco Elysium where you can feel the dice being rolled in front of you, and then like straight up Baldur's Gate 3.
I think it's kind of silly. I don't know. I don't care.
In our RPG, I don't know if people are going to be mad and not call it an RPG, but you don't even level up in Demon School. There's no levels. Your stats mostly don't change. You have techniques and things that alter how you play and what your powers are, but there's no and you gain those over time, so that's kind of like what we're doing instead. But there's no level ups, there's no dice rolls. It's all like you will hit that enemy for 2 damage. That's what's going to happen. There's no ambiguity to it. Does that remove the role from role-playing game? I don't know. We'll find out what people say.
I don't know. I mean, it just adds drama. I think a lot of the time, like with Baldur's Gate, that's what it was for me. There's maybe an element of transparency where people feel like if they can see a die rolling, then they're like, oh, I see, even though it's totally illusion, like this, it's being rolled behind the scenes or being generated. But also probably the influence of actual play podcasts and like all of those things where like rolling dice and the chance is such a big part of it that people, I think it makes sense now that a lot of those games are saying like, oh, well, people are coming from tabletop or whatever. Like, I think a lot of people played Baldur's Gate who have not played a lot of games in the last like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
like a lot of them were people who listen to Critical Role or watch, Brennan's show or like all these other things. And then are like, oh, I want to have an adventure with all the sexy people in my party. I want to see dice rolling and stuff. So I don't know. It's fine. And it's an affordance like anything else. I have no strong feelings. I think it's basically okay. And it brings people in probably.
I think it's personally not silly, but like there's no tension to it when it's in person or when it's in a game, because when it's in person, like you don't see the DC. Like you can intuit what the DC might be, especially if you're talking about like armor class or something like that. But when your DM says like, roll to do X, Y, Z, like you don't know, when that dice comes down, like if you're going to hit or not hit, right? And there's this like element of anticipation where, the DM might look at your dice and say like, oh, this actually doesn't do whatever it wants to do. But because of the way that the player is playing the game, like I'll permit it. And it can lead to these like really cool moments of like, building of anticipation and then the release of like, oh, you succeeded or oh, you failed. But with like in a video game, like you can see the DC up front, at least in Baldur's Gate case. And like, okay, whatever that dice comes up, that's my fate one way or another. Like I don't have the capriciousness of a DM that can dictate based on, if he or she likes what you're doing is cool enough or whatever to permit you to do this, even though you technically failed. And I think that kind of like takes away some of the funness, I guess, for rolling a dice. Like there's no point. Either let me do it or don't make me like, I don't know, go through this extra step.
To the somewhat contrary, I've heard multiple people say that playing Baldur's Gate helped them understand D&D in general.
Ooh.
Because of looking at
God.
It did for me like 100% because I was playing, I didn't even know this. Like I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 and I was playing like a shadow aspected cleric in my real D&D campaign. And I played Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate like filled in some gaps for me. And then I went back to my character sheet and I looked at everything like, oh, I fucked up. I'm kind of stupid. What is this? What am I doing? And
I think it's because people think D&D has branded itself the best and only tabletop RPG out there, but it's really hard. It is incredibly crunchy, and I'm saying this as someone who has run this game for like 7 years professionally. It's incredibly difficult. So it's like on one, I feel like I'm pulled in so many directions, but we went over time.
You are the host. You can tell us.
Yeah, you can have us go longer.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, what Barrett said about actual play, that's literally activating my trap card, honestly, and I feel like I'll go off in 30 minutes, but it's like that tension between like Baldur's Gate 3 is taking all the actual play people who love Dimension 20 and Critical Role, and then you let them out in a game where everyone is kind of responsible to do it together, and they don't know what to do. It's almost like an animal that's in the zoo for a while. They forget how to be in a pack again. So it's like there's a lot of, it's what you're saying about there being a person as the brain behind it or a computer, like, do you lose that like human connection of needing to be part of a team?
Yeah.
It's complicated.
One other little thing about the dice rolling is that I think in some ways it's better than we had a lot of percentages before in RPGs, and to me, 80%, 90% hit rate, that means I should hit always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And if
fuck you, XCOM. Like,
yeah, exactly. When I'm playing stupid XCOM and I've got a 90% hit rate and I miss, it's like, no, that's illegal. That's not. You said 90%.
Statistics are hard, yeah.
Which means it happens.
Right.
Whereas with dice rolls and like it's, I need to roll a 20 and I don't, then it's like, well, guess I didn't. Still screw you, video game, but I guess I didn't. It's at least a little more understandable.
For sure. All right, let's go to the next game. Let's go to the next question because I can literally talk about this topic for an hour. Hey, what is the LeBron James of video games? And I said what? I did not say who. Okay, I have a few different ones here. I think you could discuss that it is someone it is a game that is always in the GOAT conversation, but almost always comes up short to Michael Jordan or psycho Kobe Bryant fans. On the other hand, you could talk about LeBron James as a 40-year-old, inexplicably still one of the top 15, top 10 players in the NBA. And that is part of his GOAT conversation that he has been playing for so long. Or maybe the fact that he was in Space Jam 2 and his son is now in the NBA because of nepotism. It's very confusing. There's a lot of different ways you could take it. But again, I'm looking for what, not who.
Like beard-wise, I think Kratos is probably the closest.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
I do too.
Yeah, very similar beard structure.
God. This is a question for my husband. He loves basketball stuff, and we live in Akron, LeBron's hometown.
I just want to note for people that can't see that Ash made a dribbling motion when she said basketball stuff, which was very cute.
Shit.
It's like patting a dog on the head.
And he's not in here. As the person who lives in Akron, where LeBron James is from, I'm going to completely break the question and go in a completely different direction and try to think about the video game that is like giving back to the community and has a large presence in their hometown.
But also,
I don't have an answer for that. So you can come back to me.
Professionally was in Cleveland, made a choice very publicly to go to Miami and then returned and now is in LA. Like, it's a little more complicated than that.
Greatest of all time, but always misses out. That's one that we could make arguments for that.
Like, always in the top 2, but probably always 2 when you're depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, like when I go to a lot of these awards shows, video game awards shows, and Nintendo games are always nominated and they never win.
Yep. That was my thought when I said Mario. Like, that's usually the case.
Yeah. So there's that. And also, I think consistency-wise, relatively, Nintendo is up there for that, but also maybe not that interesting to talk about, LOL.
I like how we're breaking this conversation full circle.
Yeah. So is Nintendo the LeBron James of video games?
Could be.
I would agree with it. Merritt, what do you got?
I'm just trying to like come up with some kind of case for like, okay, something that's like inexplicably still going and is still like really strong and doing like really incredible things that you like wouldn't expect of at like this point in its career. And I just keep thinking Warframe.
You said Warframe. I was thinking Monster Hunter.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Monster Hunter, I think, keeps getting bigger though. So maybe it's less consistent. It's like more of an increase.
I think that could work too, because I don't know if you've heard, but there was a very large NBA trade where Luka Doncic is now traded to the LA Lakers, and now LeBron has yet another incredible star to be next to him to go compete for championships. And that feels like the fact that Monster Hunter is still doing well. I haven't played the new game, but it sounds like it's still going strong and doing even better.
Yeah, people like it. In fact, I got asked separately outside of the show whether anyone, I think it was on the forums, whether anyone on the show is playing Monster Hunter? I believe the answer is no to that question.
I bought the game.
Yeah,
I tried to
figured
play
you
the
were the
game.
closest to be possible of playing it.
And that game, just like the one before it, which I also bought and played 20 minutes of, is just so inscrutable to me that I don't want to keep playing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what any
These
of
are
this
the
shit
simple
means.
versions.
So I've heard.
The
Like,
original
I
Monster
should.
Hunter just threw you in a ditch and tossed you a shovel and said, "Dig up, idiot!"
Kill monster,
Like,
please.
yeah, like.
Well, I feel like this one does the same. Like you get tossed your cat companion and you're thrown at like, okay, here's 20 different weapons and there are 20 different ways to play these 20 different weapons. It all sucks shit until you find the one that you like, but good luck finding it because you've got to dig through 20 of these motherfuckers with 20 different kinds of like rule sets with each of them. Have fun. And I just like look at all of that stuff and I'm just like completely bewildered. And it's one of those like analysis paralysis kind of things. Like, just tell me what the fuck to do. Don't give me all this choice. Just like start me with a fucking buckler and a sword and a piece of armor and tell me to go. Don't give me all this bullshit choice shit because I'm just going to stand here and stare at this stuff like, I don't know what the fuck this does.
And yet one of the most popular games in the world.
Just like Dungeons and Dragons, honestly.
But I feel the same way as you. Like, I don't want to have all that choice paralysis, and also it's closer to a Souls game than not in terms of how it plays, and as we know, I do not like those. So,
but I love
it's
Souls
just poison
games
for me,
and I can figure that shit out real easy.
We'll have the forums come up with a build for you.
You
is
need
what we'll do.
what they should have is like the Monster Hunter game should open with a quiz like old school computer RPGs where they're like, you come across a sack of gold in the road. Do you return it or do you use it to buy food for your brother? Oh, you should use the gun blade. Like, oh, you're a gun lance user, I see. Like, oh, okay, cool. That's me then.
And they do that in Monster Hunter, but it's like after the tutorial. And it still doesn't like
good for that.
Work for me. So I don't know.
What was
it's
the
just
question?
Too much.
Yeah. Oh, LeBron James.
What was the question?
LeBron James. That's time. I think Nintendo or Monster Hunter are very good answers.
Or Kratos.
I actually like the way that we answered this question, believe it or not.
Yeah, and Ash, feel free to come back to the kid from Akron answer for sure.
No, keep going.
Yeah, come back at a different time or fill it in or tell Esper to put it in. Esper, can you put NBA Jam Boom Shakalaka here for me? Thank you.
Puts up a brick. He's on fire.
He's heating up. It's the lightning round. I have a game for you that I get to make a lightning round. This is wonderful. All right, shoot, collaborate, and listen. That's the name of the game. So Fortnite has been doing Fortnite has been doing crossovers forever, but it's almost always character models. Luckily, there's a new massively popular shooter that's doing the same exact crossovers, but are making those crossovers into weapons or items that alter gameplay. I will tell you real crossovers that happened in Fortnite, and I would like to tell you what a gun or an item or a healing pack or whatever could look like, actually something that would alter gameplay.
How many people on the panel have played Fortnite?
For about 5 minutes.
Played like a bunch of Fortnite. It's one of the most popular games in the world.
Yeah, think about any like mass shooter sort of thing that someone would do. Again, this is for a game that doesn't exist.
Mass shooter. Okay.
Damn, the deep state.
We're getting political again.
No, I'm just I think it's funny that I have the inkling that none of us, even the regular panel, have played Fortnite for any substantial amount of time.
Well, luckily we got Merritt.
Played lots of Fortnite.
All right, this could be also for any sort of like multiplayer shooter.
But sorry, what are we doing though with Fortnite?
Yeah, I didn't really understand what we were doing. You're going to tell us a character, and we're going to find an item that would be associated with them.
Come up with the weapon or item that was put into the game that fulfills the crossover situation.
For example, there was, you could get the Kamehameha in Fortnite for a while, and you could just shoot the Kamehameha, or you could get Spider-Man's web shooters and swing around.
Things like that, but you could also do, a lot of them don't have that. That's relatively new. I think they're it's like, oh, the Pickle Rick is a melee weapon that teleports you totally to a different part of the map.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will tell you the crossovers, and you can tell me an item that could be put into a multiplayer shooter. All right?
Okay.
All right.
first one, I'll start you off easy. John Wick. What's a weapon or item that would go into a multiplayer shooter?
The guns are fatal. Every time you get hit by a bullet, it's a fatal shot every time, no matter if you get hit in your head or your pinky toe. Like, period.
Hell yeah.
If you get shot, you die.
I like it. Brandon,
Sure.
Merritt, what do you think?
There's a token that you can exchange that takes you to a hotel where you can't shoot anyone, but people shoot each other anyway.
Yeah. It's long hair and everyone has to pretend that it's cool.
Nice. That's good. That's a good buff. All right, next one. Master Chief.
Good old mister.
The suit. I mean, we all know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm just not even gonna say it.
I almost went there as well. It's just
I'm just
like,
not even
you know,
gonna say it.
I'm trying to start off easy. Come on, folks.
gamer juice.
Just not gonna say it.
It has a gun that shoots your AI mommy wife. That's all I
Yeah,
got.
that's good.
You when you shoot opponents, Cortana infects them and she's just blathering to them constly.
Hell yeah. Love that,
Yeah.
Brandon.
It's a gun that shoots where the live action is actually better than the video game. Yeah, I fucking said it.
How about the NBA? The NBA just generally did a collaboration with Fortnite.
Well, the Harlem Globetrotters aren't in the NBA, unfortunately. I'd have a lot to say there. You get LeBron James's beard.
Nice. And then
No.
you get Kratos axe with the beard.
Yeah, and you get the Kratos axe.
Nice.
You just have to hold it a really long time and it jiggles. No, NBA, the whole NBA, well, it's just, I guess it's just a basketball projectile then. And if you
That can
dunk,
shoot threes all the
then
time.
everyone around you explodes.
All right.
Oh, I like that.
Let's move on to something more your speed. You know, Jeff Keighley was in Fortnite. What would Jeff Keighley's weapon be?
He was?
It would
Yeah.
be,
No, he did the thing. He made the Summer Games Fest land, but was he like an avatar in it?
He was an avatar in it. I can look in specifically what he did, but him himself were there.
Imagine being the kid who has the Jeff Keighley Fortnite skin, and you're like
Yeah.
trying to play with your friends who have like the Joker and Hatsune Miku, and you're
Who
like,
the fuck is this weird ass Canadian?
I've got Jeff Keighley.
well,
You
okay,
get
so
bullied so hard.
it's like JoJo. He calls his stand Hideo Kojima, in who then does something. He does something, but that's as far as I got.
No,
he
it's good.
he stands there and talks a lot, but doesn't say very much.
Yeah.
How about a Segway? The Segway tour emote was in Fortnite. What would you do with a Segway?
Drive off a cliff and explode.
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened to the guy who invented it?
Oh no,
Yes.
that's sad.
No,
I
he's
think
still alive. It's someone
Oh.
else. Someone else did. I think someone else drove off a cliff and died.
That was the rumor.
Yes,
Does
yeah.
anyone on the panel actually own a Segway?
Own? No.
No,
I have
no.
ridden one though.
My electric scooter is a Segway branded scooter.
Oh.
Okay. But it's
It
not.
felt-
It's not a lean forward to roll.
No,
kind
it's not
a
one of those
situation.
like no.
Ash, if you were just doing that around Akron, I would literally need to go see that.
I do it around Akron all the time with my dog strapped in my back. Like, I'm pretty sure I show up on our Akron. Like, who is this weird Negro lady with a dog on her backpack on an electric scooter in the middle of the
Midwest
road?
Death Stranding.
Exactly, it's exactly what it is. It's my favorite mode of transportation. I know the people are upset with me.
So anyway, that's what
because-
you do.
Yeah,
you
that's what I
strap
do.
a dog
Good.
to your back and you roll around, and then nobody wants to blow you up because they're like, "Oh, look at that! That's
Exactly.
cute."
I got one last one for you. How about Tenet, the Christopher Nolan movie about time travel or something? They had a crossover with Fortnite. What would the weapon be or item?
A gun that shoots a romantic relationship between John David Washington and Robert Pattinson.
Nice.
What does that do when it
doesn't
shoots
matter.
that? It doesn't matter. Okay.
It's a pill you take, and the entire match plays backwards. But like, you have to do the same thing you already did because it happened before. And also, the sound mixing becomes like really bad at that point.
Really
so,
fucking bad.
yeah, take that, Tenet. I got some notes on your 2020 movie, Chris Nolan.
I have a vivid memory of Tenet because that was the year me and he was my husband at the time. We went to like hang out in a cabin in like Columbus. It was a really cool cabin. And that was the weekend Tenet came out. And I'm like, oh, we're going to go to the cabin and it has a hot tub and it's going to be really cool. And we're going to watch Tenet. We're going to be super drunk. And I rented Tenet for $20 on Amazon
Whoa.
Prime.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was
That's
expensive.
so many.
And did not understand it. And I think I got too drunk and passed out in the middle of it. So I I don't think I've seen the whole movie all the way through anyway. But yeah.
I would
so
love
excited.
to do some incorrect things like spinning top, because that's from his last movie. And just say it's from Tenet, or going off what Merritt was saying, shoot the red pill and the blue pill from the Matrix.
Yeah,
That's good. They won't
basically
know
the
it
same
Fortnite.
thing.
Just make people really
it's
upset.
a gun that when you shoot it, it plays that one French song that was in Inception, the Wake People Up song or whatever. I forget what the name of that song is.
Wake me up before you go. In
No,
French.
that's not French.
Okay. All right.
The end.
Good. You lightning rounded. Good job. Wonderful. I think this is the part where I give out the credit. Jaffe did say explicitly I can only give out one. I do want to give out more. I'm not really sure. I'm worried about what will happen with this laser sight that's on my
It's your
head
show.
right now.
Jaffe's
That's
not
fair.
here.
Yeah, I'm going to
Take
give
the
each
shot.
of you a credit. Absolutely.
Nice.
I went into the desk and I pulled out all of the candy and I gave it to all of you. Incredible.
you.
So
That's
now-
what a good substitute teacher does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not
Very
this.
good.
I'm not this just the step host. I'm the host that stepped up. I did. I did say that before we started recording, but I thought I would say it on the recording instead. This is when we do recommendations, folks. Does anyone have a thing to recommend?
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you going to apologize? I don't know if I'm within my bounds as a host to let you apologize.
No, I'm not. I'm going to say, check out those Tesla boycotts.
Hell
It
yeah.
appears to be working. Musk almost cried on TV because his business is going so bad. They're trying to bail him out by used car salesman style. Those boycotts are working. So
The protests are working. Yeah.
apparently, you can get paid to do that, according to Republicans. Apparently,
And Tim Sweeney.
if you protest, you'll get a whole bunch of money. Yeah, Tim Sweeney. Yeah, Tim Sweeney is saying how disgusting it is that all these paid protesters are going out to protest at Tesla dealership, which is, by the way, that paid part is not happening. Keep calling your senators and congresspeople. Also that's good stuff to do. And then I wish I had like a fun movie to recommend, but I've been watching some real crap. I watched a movie called Ninja Busters. You know how there were a bunch of these movies recently, like in the last 3-4 years, that have been found that were like finished mostly in the 80s, but then
Yeah, like Vinegar Syndrome did the New York Ninja or
New York Ninja, and then there was Miami Connection.
of course, yeah.
And there's Ninja Busters. Ninja Busters is like the most obscure of all of those because it had like nobody attached to it, and it's rough. I watched it across like 5 sessions to try to get through it.
Wow.
I feel like I deserve something. There's no like, you don't get an award for suffering through a movie, and I feel like
No.
you should. I feel like there should be some achievement for finishing a movie like that.
Mhm.
That was a rough one, so I don't recommend it. But if you want to watch, if you need to suffer, you can try Ninja Busters. Check it out. It's bad. The end.
I'll do a fun recommendation because I can't think of anything else, and it's top of mind right now. If you are a person like me who really enjoys bubble tea, you can make that shit at home, and it's really easy.
Ooh.
Yeah. So just go on Amazon or however. If you have an Asian grocery store, God bless you. You are a rare and blessed individual. You can buy the
Or
Thai
you live
tea.
in California.
Or you live in California and you have access to a dozen H Marts. You can. My favorite flavor is Thai tea. You can buy the Thai tea mix. You can buy condensed milk. You can buy the bobas. It's really easy to make. The most difficult part of it is keeping everything clean because that stuff is stains because that is like artificial dye and it's bright orange and it stains every damn thing. Throwing it out the tea, like it's loose leaf tea, like get disposable tea bags that you can use and you can just toss in the garbage or compost or whatever. That makes it
You
a lot
could just
easier.
get a tea ball. Do that.
Or the tea ball doesn't, if you're brewing individual servings, sure. But if you're like me who makes a big batch of tea,
Oh, I see.
yeah, you
that's
want the tea bags for that. And then you can like go online and buy condensed milk in like little individual packets, which makes it a lot easier. I just made a bomb ass batch of Thai tea boba and it was perfect. And now I never have to go like drive like 6 miles up to the mall to get it. and I could just make it at home. And I'm very much in my make shit at home era. And that is like I'm so happy that I have perfected this. So yeah, if you want my Thai tea boba recipe, you can find me on Blue Sky, and I'll probably post it like sometime later this afternoon when we're recording.
There's a place in El Cerrito that sells decaffeinated milk tea powdered mixes, and
Ooh.
I have really been wanting to check that out because I can't absorb caffeine anymore. And the big sadness of that is how much I love milk tea and cannot drink it. So once I know if that's any good, I'm going to let y'all know about it.
Nice. Merritt, what are you doing? What's up with you?
I want to recommend Michael Mann's 1999 film, The Insider, which is on the Criterion Collection right now. They have a Michael Mann collection. And it's 158 minutes of Al Pacino talking to Russell Crowe. And it's very good. It's about this big like tobacco whistleblower. Like it's a kind of a biopic. But it's a Michael Mann movie where there's no guns or car chases, and it's just people talking to each other for almost 3 hours, and it's extremely good. Also, a lot of guys. If you're like a person who enjoys spotting guys in movies, like Stephen Tobolowsky is in here. The guy who played the library cop, Mr. Bookman on Seinfeld, is in here. Colm Feore, Bruce McGill, Michael Gambon, a lot of great guys to spot. So
I gotta say the guy spotting thing is where you sold me, because I'm ever watching these. I watch more mediocre ones than what Michael Mann might create. But I'm watching these things. I'm like, that's the guy from that guy. It's that guy. I thought you were going to say The Keep because you started 1980, and then
Keep is good too. Although he's disowned that movie and a lot of people don't like it, but
he has. I think he's got to just accept that a lot of people like that movie, and that it brings joy. So if you've never seen The Keep, that's another Michael Mann that you could. It's unfinished, sort of. It was hacked to death. The special effects guy died. Nobody knew how he was going to finish his effects, and that's why part of that stuff happened. But it's such a weird vibe. So if you're going on a Michael Mann situation,
it's also
get that one in there too.
Really funny because it's early 80s. So Ian McKellen isn't that old, but they put him in old age makeup.
It's so good.
But he looks really fucked up. Like more than I remember him looking like in Lord of the Rings. And it's like, oh yeah, just because he's like covered in makeup and prosthetics.
Yeah, he's like 40 or something at the time. Yeah. It's great.
I'd like to recommend Thank a Podcast Editor Today. I say all the time that podcasting is everything in the pre-production and post-production. All the structure you do and all the planning, and then all the editing and making it sound good, and all the special effects that go into it afterwards. And you're just trying to capture lightning in a bottle and have as much fun with the people on the microphones. And so many people just forget about all the work that goes into it. So we talked about, I feel like I'm aligned with the Alex Jaffe here, and I do all of the prep. But, a shout out to all of the podcast editors out there who make everything sound good. And hi, you're doing a great job, Esper.
We have the best one, just so you know.
I would dispute and say that I have some of the best. We have some of the best ones over at Multitude, but Esper, you're very, very good.
Yep. Well, you're outnumbered here, but you can elsewhere.
That's fair. That's fair. Here, I will have to say Esper is the best one. You're absolutely right. Also, hey, if you like the job that I did today, you can go check out the other podcasts that I do, including the interview I did with Alex Jaffe over at my podcast Attach Your Resume, where me and the CEO of Multitude and my wife, Amanda McLaughlin, where we interview people about their digital jobs and how they got there and what's going on. It's like a modern oral history of what's gone on with digital media over the last 5 to 10 years, which has been a lot of fun to do. And yeah, if you want to listen to my actual play podcast, you can listen to Join the Party. I think it's good. I think I'm the best DM in podcasting. That's just my personal
Whoa.
opinion. It's a thing I say, like Trixie Mattel or a professional wrestler. And hey, if you like this podcast, or if you enjoyed any of it, or any episode of Insert Credit, please rate and review the show whenever and however you can. You can also directly support it with your subscriptions at patreon.com/insertcredit. If you'd like to sponsor the show with an advertisement or personal message, or submit your own horrible buzzer, you can contact Alex Jaffe at show@insertcredit.com. This episode's buzzer was submitted by BB Kaizo. It really happened. You can also join the community at forums.instantcredit.com or find the show on youtube.com/instantcreditshow. You should wishlist Demon School on Steam. You should subscribe to The Verge for more Ash Parish and avail yourself of archive.gamehistory.org. Why would there be an archive?
That's for Frank.
But why would there
also,
be game history? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know. We should also throw in Buy Merritt's game.
Buy Merritt's game.
Oh yeah, Fledgling Manor. I think since the last time I was on here, there's been like a minor update to it that just added some NPC profile pictures and some sound effects and stuff. And it's still 100% on Steam, almost 100 reviews, so must be pretty good. Or it's just people who already like me buying it and reviewing it. Hard to say.
Both are good.
Both are good. I mean, those
Get
dollars.
it how you can.
Hey, those checks they cash just the same. So
Nice.
This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Eric Silver.
I'm Ash Parrish.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
I'm Merritt K.
And your game has now been saved.
Woo!
We did it!
That was fun.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
No problem, folks.
You did a good job.